I just built a mini PC on an incredibly small budget, around $50. And what's interesting is that it's completely different from anything you've probably seen before. You can use it like a normal PC, watch 2K videos smoothly, and even enjoy some games at 60 FPS. It's not the most powerful machine in the world, but it might be one of the cheapest PC builds you'll ever see. You may have already noticed that the operating system looks nothing like Windows. That's because it isn't Windows at all, it's Samsung DeX. While browsing eBay one day, I came across a Samsung Galaxy S9 with a completely shattered screen for just $22. I didn't think twice. I bought it immediately. A few days later, the package finally arrived. And now it's time to see what kind of condition this thing is actually in. This is the Samsung S9 I bought from eBay. Cosmetically, this phone is in rough shape. The exterior has taken a beating, and the display isn't doing much better. The screen flickers constantly. Around half of it has severe color issues, and parts of the panel look like they're on the verge of giving up completely. Which, to be fair, is exactly why the phone was so cheap in the first place. Thankfully, the touchscreen still works. And for this project, that's really all I need. What's interesting about the Galaxy S9 is that it comes from the early days of Samsung DeX. Samsung originally created DeX to make better use of the hardware already sitting inside a smartphone. The idea was simple: connect the phone to a monitor and transform the Android interface into something that feels much closer to a desktop PC. It was designed to improve multitasking and make mobile hardware more practical for productivity-focused workloads. The DeX platform was first introduced in 2017 alongside the Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus. Then, about a year later, Samsung released the Galaxy S9, the very phone sitting in front of me right now. Turning it into a PC is actually much easier than you might think. All I needed was a 5-in-1 USB-C hub. That's it. And the best part is that these adapters are everywhere. You can find them on eBay, Amazon, or pretty much any online marketplace. I picked mine up on eBay for around $12. It comes with all the ports I need, including USB, HDMI, and power delivery. So let's plug everything in and see if Samsung DeX is actually as good as people claim. And no way. The display appeared the moment I connected it. No complicated setup. It just worked. Honestly, I was surprised by how responsive it felt. Within seconds, I was moving the mouse around, opening windows, and using the keyboard just like I would on a normal desktop PC. At this point, it didn't feel like I was using a broken phone anymore. It felt like I was sitting in front of a surprisingly capable little computer. Before we dive into the performance of this little PC, I wanted to solve another problem. Right now, everything is just sitting on the desk. It works, but it doesn't exactly look clean. Another reason is that the phone is heavily damaged and looks pretty terrible cosmetically. So I started looking for a small enclosure that could hold the phone and the USB-C hub together in a more organized way. Naturally, I searched online first. I checked eBay and a few other marketplaces, hoping someone had already made a mini PC case specifically for Samsung DeX. But after a lot of searching, I came up empty-handed. Nobody seemed to be selling exactly what I needed, so I decided to make my own. I designed a custom enclosure and sent the files to a friend nearby who owns a 3D printer. I'd love to own a 3D printer myself one day, but that's a hobby that can get expensive very quickly, so it'll have to wait. Anyway, after about a day of printing, this is what we ended up with. The entire print only cost me about $6. As for the design, I wanted to keep it as simple as possible. Both ends are ventilated to help airflow, and the top panel can be removed without using a single screw. Instead, it's held in place by 4 magnets, one in each corner. That makes it really easy to open whenever I need access to the hardware inside. I also added an Asus logo on the top panel as a little design touch. If you don't already know, I'm a bit of an Asus fan, but the logo isn't just there for looks. The cutout actually serves a second purpose. On the inside, I designed a set of mounting clips that allow me to install a cooling fan directly beneath it. So naturally, I picked up a small RGB fan for about $5 and mounted it inside. Because if I'm building a tiny PC, it might as well have RGB. And just like that, the mini PC case was almost finished. But we're not done yet. In fact, one of the biggest challenges was still waiting for me. This phone is old. Really old. The Galaxy S9 was released nearly 8 years ago, and age is starting to show in one particular area: the battery. The battery health isn't great anymore. I can literally watch the percentage drop during use. And there's another issue. Whenever the phone is charging, it generates a surprising amount of heat. The entire device becomes noticeably hot. That might be acceptable for normal use, but if I plan to use this as a desktop PC or play games for extended periods, that battery becomes a concern. Not just for longevity, but for safety as well. On top of that, once the phone starts getting too warm, performance can become inconsistent. Sometimes the system begins to lag or stutter as the temperature climbs. At this point, I needed a solution. The battery was old, worn out, and generating far too much heat, so I decided to remove it completely. Instead of running the phone from its battery, I would power it directly through the battery contacts. That means the phone can operate without a battery installed at all. Of course, I couldn't just connect a random power supply and hope for the best. To make everything safe, I bought a voltage regulator board that can provide the phone with a stable output voltage. That way, the Galaxy S9 always receives the correct amount of power and can run reliably for long periods of time. While I was working on the power system, I realized I could also add a Molex connector to power the RGB fan from the same source. So that's exactly what I did. Now came the fun part. A lot of soldering. I connected everything together, carefully checking the positive and negative terminals before making any permanent connections. Once that was done, I soldered the wiring to a USB-C breakout board. After that, I added one final piece, a power switch. I wanted a simple way to turn the entire system on and off without constantly unplugging the power cable. With everything assembled, it was finally time to test it. I connected the power leads to the phone, flipped the switch, and perfect. Even better, when I flipped the switch off, the phone shut down instantly. Turn it back on, and it booted right back up. Everything worked exactly as planned. By the end of it, I had spent roughly another $5 on wiring, connectors, and power-related parts. The next step was securing the phone inside the case. For that, I reused a phone clamp from an old camera mount and attached it inside the enclosure with strong adhesive tape. It's not the most elegant solution in the world, but it does the job surprisingly well. The phone stays firmly in place and doesn't move around at all. But then I ran into another problem. The USB-C connector was too long. Once plugged into the phone, it stuck out farther than the case would allow. So once again, I had to find a workaround. My solution was a U-shaped USB-C adapter. It only cost about $2.50, and it redirected the cable neatly back toward the inside of the case. Problem solved. After that, all that remained was organizing the wiring and securing the remaining components. Nothing exciting, but it was the final step before this project could officially be called finished. And just like that, the build was complete. In total, I ended up spending around $52 on this Samsung DeX mini PC. Looking at it from the outside, it actually resembles a proper mini PC. It's compact, clean, and surprisingly lightweight. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. But enough talking about the hardware. Let me know what you think about this build in the comments. Now it's time for the part that really matters. Let's see how this thing performs. Next, I wanted to test the highest resolution this setup was supposed to support, 1440p, or at least that was the plan. Unfortunately, I couldn't get Samsung DeX to output at that resolution. I tried installing Good Lock and digging through the available settings, hoping to unlock additional display options. But there was no multi-star module and none of the DeX-related features I needed. At that point, it started looking less like a software limitation and more like a hardware restriction. So for now, I'll leave that mystery unsolved. Instead, let's move on to something a little more practical. Video playback. And oh my god, it's actually really smooth. The response is almost instant when scrubbing through the timeline, and videos start playing immediately without any noticeable delay. Honestly, this feels much better than I expected from an 8-year-old phone. Then I switched over to a 1440p video, and surprisingly the Galaxy S9 handled it without any trouble at all. No stuttering, no lag, no dropped frames that I could notice. Alright, now it's time to try some PlayStation 2 games. I'll be using a wireless controller, and thankfully connecting it to this mini PC is incredibly easy. All I had to do was enable Bluetooth, put the controller into pairing mode, and the system recognized it almost instantly. For the first test, I chose Gran Turismo 4, and honestly, it runs surprisingly well on this machine. The image quality is also impressively sharp when displayed through Samsung DeX, making it feel much closer to a real console experience than I expected. That said, we do have to remember what hardware we're dealing with. This is still an 8-year-old smartphone, and its age definitely shows when the workload starts increasing. In Gran Turismo 4, the frame rate can occasionally reach 60 frames per second, but it doesn't stay there consistently. During heavier scenes, it can drop quite noticeably, sometimes falling to around 25 frames per second. At the same time, the CPU is working almost flat out, spending most of its time very close to full utilization. Next up is the King of Fighters, and overall the experience is much smoother. I spent quite a bit of time playing it, and for the most part, I didn't notice any major frame rate drops. The game stayed consistently around 50 frames per second, which made it feel responsive and enjoyable. Of course, the phone isn't getting a free ride. The CPU is still working at full speed to maintain that level of performance, but at least in this game, it's managing to keep up. I also wanted to try something a little more demanding, so naturally I loaded up God of War 2, and this is where the limitations of the hardware become much more obvious. The system struggles quite a bit here. Frame rates hover around 33 frames per second most of the time, making the experience noticeably less smooth than the previous games. If you really wanted to improve performance, you could lower the rendering resolution and gain a few extra frames. But even then, this is clearly pushing the hardware close to its limits. That said, when you move down to less demanding systems like the PSP or Dreamcast, this little machine feels much more comfortable. And of course, there was one game I couldn't leave out: Minecraft. For this test, I decided to keep things simple and use version 1.7.10. And honestly, the results surprised me. The frame rate wasn't bad at all. In fact, it could climb past 200 frames per second in some situations. Now, it wasn't perfectly stable. There were plenty of moments where it dropped down to around 150 frames per second. But even then, the game still felt extremely smooth. Overall, it's a great experience. And what makes it even more impressive is the fact that all of this is running on a homemade mini PC built around a broken Galaxy S9. Overall, this was a really fun project, and I think the result was worth the effort. Now I have a compact little PC that I can take almost anywhere for work or light gaming. If you enjoyed the build, don't forget to leave a like on the video. Thanks for watching.